Hello and welcome to another episode of my Productivity Mastery Series. My name is Carl Pauline and today we are looking at work-life balance versus work-life integration. Now, what is the difference? Well, let's look at work-life balance first. Work-life balance is about putting a hard border or barrier between your personal life and your work life. And in theory, this sounds like a really good way of organizing your life. In effect, you could be doing 8 hours of sleep, which is very healthy, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of playtime or free time. Absolutely fantastic. Secondly, we've got the work-life integration. Now, work-life integration doesn't put up those hard borders or barriers. Instead, you do your work at the time that best suits you. Now, the reason why work-life integration is becoming a bigger thing, it's always been a big thing, by the way, for entrepreneurs and business owners, where you don't have a boss, you don't have fixed times, you're building a business. Therefore, sometimes you're going to be working through the night in order to get a project finished. But work-life integration is going to become a much bigger thing as we move into the post-pandemic world. One of the things that I'm sure you've all noticed is the great experiment of people working from home has created a few more options in the way that we work. Productivity didn't disappear. People didn't skive off work. In fact, in many cases, not all, but in many cases, productivity actually went up. Now, with all these changes coming, it may be time for us to start getting comfortable with the idea of work-life integration, rather than putting up unnatural barriers and borders between our work life and our personal life. Now, I know some of you probably all work within the same time zone, unlike me, where I'm 17 hours ahead of California. I'm something like 14 hours ahead or 13 hours ahead of New York and about 8 or 9 hours ahead of Europe. Therefore, for me, when the US is waking up, it's like 10 or 11 p.m. at night. And when Europe is waking up, it's usually around about 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Morning time is also open for me to be communicating with the other side of the world. And for me, the afternoon is dead. I don't get email coming in. In fact, all my clients and most of my customers are fast asleep in my afternoon. So I've actually had to adopt a more work-life integrated life simply because that I have to split my days. I often have calls in the morning and I have calls late at night. All my emails are coming in the morning or late at night. Very little comes in the afternoon. So I've actually embraced this situation and I do my errands and take the dog for a walk and do my exercise and everything in the afternoons because I very rarely ever have calls at that time. But for you though, you may be working in the same time zone. So how does this work? So all your customers, your colleagues and your boss are all on the same time zone as you. Surely you can still maintain a work-life balance. And this is true. But what happens, for instance, if you need to go to the dentist or you wake up and you feel very sick and you need to go see a doctor? You can't go at 10 o'clock at night unless it's an emergency where you might be able to go to the ER in your hospital. You're going to go during the day, during your work life. Now, most people I've met never feel guilty about this. Say, fine, I'm going to the doctor or I'm going to the dentist. Do you ever make up the time later in the day? Probably not. So what we're looking at is embracing a more work-life integrated life. And this means that if you have a few emails that's just hanging over you and causing you a bit of stress, then don't wait until the next working time. Go to a quiet room, open up your computer and deal with them, maybe at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night after your kids have gone to bed. Now, there's a few people I know who have adopted a work-life integrated life. And let me just give you an example. Michael Dell, now this was in round about 1995 to 1999. He would, when his children were very young, he would go into the office about 8 a.m. in the morning. He would come back home at round about 5:30 and he would spend the next 4 hours with his kids and wife. They would have dinner together, he would play with the kids. It was a complete break from his working time. Then, once his kids had gone to bed, and he would go to his small study in his house, and he would spend the next 2 hours dealing with email. Now, one of the things, if you've ever watched Gary Vaynerchuk, what you'll notice is he often has D-Rock following him around with a camera. But how often do you see him following him around with a camera between 6 and 9 p.m? Very, very rarely, and only when he's on a business trip and he's out of New York. Gary Vaynerchuk uses 6 till 9 p.m. pretty much every day to go home to be with his family for those 3 hours. Now, Gary Vaynerchuk is a highly energetic guy, running from this place to that place, meeting here, meeting there, doing his videos, doing all the stuff that he does. But each day he makes sure he gets 3 quality hours with his family. Now, for those of you who've been following the YouTube, you've obviously come across, hopefully you've come across a gentleman called Casey Neistat. Now, Casey is another case. Now, Casey I would describe as being a bit of a workaholic, but in a positive way. And he just loves creating. I mean, he is one of the most creative people I've ever seen. But the other thing about Casey Neistat is he's a dedicated runner. He runs every single morning. He also has a young family. And what he does is he will be home again around about 6, 7 p.m. at night, and he would spend the next 3 to 4 hours with his wife and children before going back to a room to edit videos for his YouTube channel. This was before he came off YouTube. He's still there or thereabouts. So these people have, instead of fighting that inner self where they really want to develop themselves and they really want to get their work done, what they're doing is they're embracing their whole life, seeing their life as one whole thing rather than 2 or 3 separate things. And I think if you want to build a more meaningful life and you want to have a lot less stress and a lot less worry, then again, using your calendar to build a whole life where you're scheduling time for your family and your friends, but also making sure that you're staying on top of your work is always going to be a good thing. Now, for most of us, we're not working in a time-related organization. Sure, we still have this hangover from the 8-hour working day, but really as knowledge workers, how many of you have been able to switch off when you finish work completely and not think about work until the next day? I know when I used to work for a company, that was almost impossible. In fact, I never remember a time when I was not sat on the bus coming home at night, not thinking about a client issue or something that happened at work or something that I'd forgotten to do or had to do. You know, it's really, as knowledge workers, it's almost impossible to actually switch off. And I just don't think that if you're sat there in the evening on your sofa with your family watching TV, but you're really worried about something at work, that is not healthy. And it's certainly not quality time with your family. Sure, you might be there physically, but mentally you're not there. Mentally, you're still at work. You know, if something like that is bothering you, you're far better getting up, going to a quiet room, and just dealing with whatever work issues you have. And one final point with this whole work-life integration. One of the best times to do a weekly review or weekly planning session is Saturday morning. The week is still fresh for you and the weekend is ahead of you. If you can spend 30 minutes on a Saturday morning planning out the week ahead, you are going to get far more pleasure from the weekend than you will if you leave it till Sunday night or Monday morning. Leaving it till Sunday night or Monday morning means that it's still in your head. You're still thinking about work. You're still thinking about all the things you have to do on Monday when you get back to the office or when you get back to work. That's not a good way to spend the weekend. It's far better to just get enough sleep on Friday night, wake up Saturday morning, and before you do anything else, go to a quiet room or a quiet corner and do your weekly planning. Look at your work. What do you have to do? Look at your personal life. What would you like to do? Make sure everything's in balance and stop worrying about hard times and hard deadlines, because It's a battle you will always lose, because these days email is just going to come at you anyway, whether you like it or not. And if you're trying to say, no, I'm not going to look at my email, I'm not going to look at my email, but you know that FOMO, the fear of missing out, is still in your head. It's still saying, no, look at me, look at me, look at me. Do you really want that stress, that pressure on you? Rather than just saying, hey, I'm just going to spend 30 minutes, I'm going to go through my email, I'm going to organize what needs to be done. It's 30 minutes, but you'll sleep better, you'll be less stressed, and when you are with your family and friends, you are really present. You're not worrying about work and what you haven't done. So as we move into a post-pandemic world, I urge you to look at your life as a whole, not as 3 or 4 different things, certainly 2 different things, your personal life and your work life. It's a stressful way to live your life. It's not sustainable, and you're only going to lose that battle. It's not worth it. Have a more open mind, be a little bit more flexible with your time. You will feel so much better. And as long as when you say, I am going to spend some quality time with your family, you do that, whether that's early Sunday morning, maybe you say, I'm going to start a little bit later at work on Monday and work a bit later or whatever. The other good thing about work-life integration is if you've got young family and your kids are playing sport in the afternoon, there's no reason why you can't just take the afternoon off and go and watch your daughter or your son play sport. At least then you can come back home, you've spent some quality time with your kids, and now you can do some quality time at work. No boss is ever going to be upset with you for that, because you're still delivering the results. And your family are going to be much happier with you because you are spending quality time with them. You know, sitting there watching Netflix with your kids or playing computer games with your kids when your mind is still on work is not really being in the moment with your kids. Being able to say, my work is done, I am totally with my children right now, or with my wife or spouse, you know that you are there, you are present. That is really the goal that you want to be looking for. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Hello, thank you very much for watching my videos. Now I have something exciting to tell you about. Recently I have developed a brand new time management system. It's a system designed to manage your time in the 21st century. The world has changed a lot over the last 20 years. In fact, it's actually changed a lot this year. And what we need now is a system, a time management system that is very easy to use, easy to maintain, so that you can spend more of your time doing the work. And that's what the time sector system is all about. It's going to change your whole belief system about the way a time management system should work, because this focuses on when you are going to do the task. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how motivated, inspired, or how urgent something is. If you don't have time to do it, it is never going to get done. And that's what this system is built around, getting your work done, so you can spend more of your time doing the things that you want to do. I hope you join me in this course. The full details of the course are in the show notes below, so please join me, and thank you very much for watching this brief video.